All right, guys, it's time for the week 4 recap. Not going to spend too much time on this week. Just going to dive right into it and get it done. I'm looking at, of course, I beat Jared. Now, it came down to the wire, and Achan almost broke a couple long runs, but we've seen this story a million times before. You knew how this was going to end with the tribal chief. Caleb Williams is the GOAT winning this matchup with Jared. A lot of things for Jared to be encouraged about moving forward. Achan looks great. Looks like Braylon Allen's going to miss some time. I think he hit the IR even today. And, so Brees Hall's going to get all the work he can handle. Achan with Tyreek going out should get all the work he can handle. But I just want to take one moment of silence. You might have seen the thumbnail for one final time this year. Quick moment of silence for Malik Neighbors. So Malik Neighbors, of course, not a scumbag piece of shit like Tyreek Hill that, beats his pregnant wife and breaks his kid's arm and stuff like that. Malik Neighbors never done anything wrong to anybody. And he's out for the year. Now, while some of you, like Joe, might find that comical, I didn't find any of the injuries to be that funny, to be honest with you. So, not great stuff there for Neighbors going down. It was a rough week for injuries. Tyreek going down. And it kind of seems like we're getting this reverse thing where it used to be the running backs that we had to worry about getting hurt all the time. And now it kind of seems to be the wide receivers. It's ugly out there. And I'm just very, very glad that I have Michael Pittman instead of Tyreek Hill. So shout out Joe for rejecting a no-brainer great trade offer with no counter and no discussion. We got to work on our communication skills a little bit there though, but it was not good last night. So now as far as my team goes, Adunze and Jigba, I'm gonna be fine at receiver. Michael Pittman, I'll get Rashee Rice back in a couple weeks. I'll be fine. So lots of positive stuff there to look into on both sides there. Now you got Kevin just stomping the ever living shit out of Jason. Absolutely brutal beatdown. Positives for Kevin. Jalen Hurts is doing awesome. Amon-Ra St. Brown is, the Lions are scumbags and they get their garbage time touchdowns when they're up by a ton. They're like, do the reverse garbage time thing. Usually you have to be behind to do that. Amon-Ra catching a touchdown on play action on 1st and goal from the 6 with like 3 minutes to go, up by 17 with the ball, and Cleveland having no timeouts. That was certainly an interesting call. Last year, the Lions started getting players hurt. I would expect the same thing this year. They're going to start getting players hurt because teams don't like that shit. Now, Emeka Egbuka is the real deal. Absolute stud. James Cook, you might have seen, probably going to start losing some work to Ray Davis. That sucks for James Cook, but he's still an absolute world beater. So lots of positives. I would be remiss if I didn't point out, though, that I did say that Trey Tucker was the dumbest start of the week. He went for 2.2. He's absolutely not rosterable. We're going to look back at that big game in week 3 and say, wow, can you believe that loser had that game? Now, you look over at Jason's team, unlike Kevin, who's got a lot of positives, not a whole lot positive to say about Jason here. Baker Mayfield is okay, I guess. J.K. Dobbins is okay. That's about it. Not really much else to say. Hopefully some of these guys turn it around for you, but you have got to be in a full-scale panic, the likes of which we have never seen in this league. It's got to be rough for Jason going from the absolute juggernaut he had last year, missing the playoffs with the highest scoring team, to this dumpster fire that may not win another game. Now, we look at Steve edges out Tony Jr., might have been Tony's best chance to win a game all season. Tony had the players, could have won if he played DK Metcalf over Tet McMillan or Jacoby Myers. Probably just shouldn't have traded for Jacoby Myers. So sorry about that one, man. That didn't work out the way I thought it was going to. But sure glad I don't have Jacoby Myers right now. Now, positives for Tony. Jordan Love continues to show that he's a great matchup play. If he faces a terrible defense, he can exploit that. He's not very good against decent or good defenses, but he's awesome against the really bad ones. Saquon Barkley, Cam Scatabo, Javonte Williams is actually a really good set of running backs. I'm actually kind of bullish on Tony moving forward. I think Tony's he's not going to be GD. He's 0-4. That's my bold call for Tony. He's not GD. He's not going to make the playoffs or anything like that, but, I don't know, 7th, 8th place, something like that. He could definitely shoot for that. I think we're on a collision course for Tony versus Jason in the GD Bowl, but we'll see what happens. Steve, a lot of positives for Steve this week. Bijan Robinson, gigantic week. Josh Allen, gigantic week. Actually, that's about where the positives end. Steve got absolutely carried by those two players. If something were to happen to either one of them, Steve will never win another game. So there you go with Steve. Congratulations on eking out the win against the worst team in the league. Good work. Senior laid a pretty big beating on Joe. Joe scoring 108 and losing by 30. Jeez, man, that sucks. Usually 108. That would have beaten me by 20 this week. But unfortunately, the schedule gods giveth and the schedule gods taketh away. So Joe gets his ass kicked. Josh Jacobs, George Pickens, Quinshon Judkins, Ashton Jeanty, just huge pop-off efforts in what will likely be Senior's highest scoring week of the season. The downside for Senior, though, Lamar Jackson out 2 to 4 weeks with a hamstring injury. That's tough. Whoever gets to play Senior next week is one lucky SOB, because without Lamar, I'm not really that scared of that team. I think that, Josh Jacobs doesn't get to play Dallas again, and Jeanty doesn't get to play the Bears again. So I don't think those guys are going to be combining for 58 points most weeks. I don't think George Pickens ever gets 25 in a game again either. So, not super worried about Senior's team in the short term. In the long term, though, he's got a very good team. Joe's team, positives. Bo Nix did what you would expect against the Bengals. He dominated the Bengals. I mean, everybody dominates the Bengals. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm kind of picking on Jason here a little bit, but there's just it's not been a good week for Jason, fantasy or just real life football involved. Bucky Irving, I told you he'd have a great game against the Eagles, and he sure did, but we're waiting on MRI results to see if he's okay or not. We don't know what happened to him. Nobody's really saying anything. An MRI on what? I don't know. Probably on his back for carrying the Bucs this past week, but we'll see what happens there. Gibbs put up his standard 15.5 or so. Hampton with another huge game, mostly aided. I believe he had like a 70-yard touchdown run, which definitely helped the numbers a lot in this one. I'm a little concerned about Hampton moving forward personally. Not anything to do with him, not anything to do that he won't be good. I think he's going to be very good, but I think expecting 20-plus points out of him is probably never going to happen again with Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, their two best offensive linemen, now out. That is not ideal. Hampton's going to get so much work, though, that he could easily prove me wrong. Quick question, though. I mean, who sits Woody Marks, dude? It's Woody Marks season. Marvin Harrison Jr. looked really good in the second half of the Seattle game after he looked like a guy that should have been bagging groceries. So there you go. There are some positives on both sides. I'm trying to be a little more positive in this one this week. I'm really sorry, Jason. I'm trying to be positive, man. I'm having a hard time with your team in particular. Now, Reese goes out and beats Jack rather handily. Stafford threw 3 touchdowns. So, and they every single one of them went to Puka. Well, no, did he throw 3 or 4? Stafford had a gigantic game. But regardless, it had to have been 3. He only scored 30 points. But Puka Nacua is the best player in fantasy. That's all there is to that. If we were redrafting today, every single one of you would take Puka first overall, including me. He's the best player in fantasy. That's all there is to that. Kyren Williams is a bag of ass. Nick Chubb lost his job. So, on the negative side of things for Reese, Chuba Hubbard's in a 50-50 timeshare now. Not great for Reese across the board on that sort of stuff. We'll see what happens, though. I think Reese has got, as I keep saying, his team goes as the Rams go. Tyler Warren is absolutely legit, locked and loaded, top 5 tight end option week in and week out. Now, Jack, just another horrible week. Basically, if Jonathan Taylor doesn't smash for Jack, he's going to have a rough go. That's all there is to that. Positives for Jack, he's one more game closer to CeeDee Lamb coming back and Jaden Daniels coming back. So there you go, guys. I will hit you with the matchup previews on Thursday.